The moment you stop caring about what others think is the moment they start thinking about you non-stop. That's not just a quote, it's a wake-up call, my friends. Let me tell you something most people won't. Chasing someone who's pulling away is like pouring water into a bucket with holes. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough, and in the end, you're the one left empty. We've been fed a lie that says, if you just try harder, explain yourself better, or love them louder, they'll finally see your worth. But here's the truth that stings a little. The more you chase someone, the more they run. Not because they hate you, but because they can feel the weight of your neediness. It doesn't feel like love, it feels like pressure. Think of a butterfly. Hold out your hand gently, and it might land. Clamp down on it, and it will struggle to escape. People are the same. They're drawn to peace, power, and presence. That's why the moment you pull back, choosing silence over pleading and mystery over explanation, something strange happens. Suddenly, you become the one on their mind, not because you played games, but because you finally stopped playing yourself. It's not about manipulation, it's about realization. You stop waiting for their call and start building your empire. You stop reading into their silence and start enjoying your peace. You stop begging for love and become the person who doesn't need to beg. That shift flips the entire dynamic. Let me give you a different picture. Imagine you're a candle in a dark room. When you burn too brightly for someone who refuses to see your light, you're just wasting your flame. But when you walk away, you take that warmth with you, and they feel the cold. People notice your absence louder than your presence when they took you for granted, and that's the beautiful revenge of silence. It doesn't scream, it doesn't argue, it just lets reality do the talking. One day they'll sit there wondering, why did I let them go? And you'll be too focused on becoming everything you once begged them to see. Let them wonder while you wander. Don't be the person waiting around for a message that might never come. Be the person who becomes so magnetic that they regret not holding on when they had the chance. This isn't just about love, it's about life. It's about taking your power back. Because the truth is, you were never too much. You just gave too much to someone who couldn't handle it. So let them sit in their pride while you sit in your peace. They'll feel your silence more deeply than they ever felt your words. Now, write this in the comments. I walk away with peace, not pain. Let it be your affirmation. And hey, if this resonated with you, press that like button, subscribe for more, and stay with me on this journey. We're just getting started. They expect you to chase, so don't. People don't value what never goes away. They value what walks away and never looks back. That one hits, doesn't it? Because deep down, you know it's true. Most folks, when someone starts slipping away, panic. They fall right into the trap. They become predictable, emotional, and reactive. It's like watching a slow-motion collapse, texting late at night, rereading old conversations, wondering if one more message will change something. Spoiler alert, it won't. Here's what you need to understand, my friends. They expect you to chase. That's the trap. That's the game. They've seen it all before and know exactly how it plays out. You like them, they pull away. You panic, they feel powerful. You spiral, they move on. It's a pattern like clockwork, and most people, especially the emotionally hooked ones, fall for it every time. You might be thinking, but what if I don't reach out? What if they forget about me? What if I lose them forever? That's the fear talking. That's the ego screaming. And that fear is exactly what keeps you stuck in their web. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in the ocean holding onto a rope tied to a sinking ship. The ship is already going down, but you keep holding on, thinking maybe, just maybe, you can save it. But the longer you hold on, the deeper you sink. The water fills your lungs. You lose your strength, and eventually, you drown. Let go of the rope. They expect you to cling to it. They expect the tears, the desperate texts, the "can we talk" messages at 2 a.m. They expect you to replay every moment in your mind. What you said, what you didn't, what you should have done better. But what they didn't expect was silence. That's the move no one sees coming. And let me tell you something about silence. It's not empty. It's full of answers. It's not about ignoring someone to play games. It's about breaking the script. It's about rising out of the role they tried to trap you in. They thought you'd be the one to chase. Flip the script, because the moment you don't show up with your usual patterns, they get confused. Wait, why aren't they chasing me? Did they stop caring? Did I misread them? Did I lose something I thought I had control over? That's when uncertainty creeps in. And uncertainty? It's one of the most powerful emotional hooks in the human brain. It keeps people spinning, second-guessing, and doubting themselves. And that's when they finally feel something. You see, they didn't pull away because you weren't good enough. They pulled away because they stopped feeling. You became safe, predictable, easy to read, and easy to replace. But mystery? That's addictive. When they don't know where they stand with you, that's when they start to think, to wonder, to rewind and replay. Ever notice how people don't miss you when you're always there? But the moment you disappear, the moment your energy is gone, that's when they realize they needed it more than they knew. And listen, this isn't about ego, it's about truth. You never needed to chase to be worthy. You were always enough. But they couldn't see it because you were always there, making it easy. You have to step back, not to punish, but to protect your peace. You're not running away. You're walking back into yourself, into your dignity, into your power. The moment you stop chasing, they feel the shift. Not because you wanted to hurt them, but because you finally stopped hurting yourself to keep them close. And maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. But you'll never be in that same place again, begging for crumbs, over-explaining, waiting by your phone for someone who couldn't care less. You'll be too busy becoming what they couldn't handle, because when you stop chasing, you start choosing. You choose your peace, your purpose, your power. So let them wonder. Let them sit in the silence they created, because if they're meant for you, they'll feel that silence echo like thunder in a quiet room. And if they're not, good. You just saved yourself from wasting another drop of your light on someone who couldn't hold it. Now say it with me in the comments. I don't chase, I choose. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that your worth doesn't beg. It simply walks away and lets the silence speak louder than words ever could. And trust me, what's coming next? Oh, it gets deeper. Because this wasn't about revenge. This was about rediscovery. Hit that like button if this opened your eyes. Subscribe because we're just getting started, and stay with me. The next move is everything. Your silence triggers regret. Silence doesn't beg, it echoes. And those who once ignored your voice will hear your absence like thunder. Let that hit, my friends, because real silence, not the fake kind, not the strategic kind, the real kind that comes from peace and power is unstoppable. It's the kind of silence that doesn't come from wanting them back. It comes from no longer needing them at all. Once you stop chasing, once you stop reacting, that's when everything flips. At first, they'll act unbothered, like nothing's changed, like your silence means nothing. They'll post pictures smiling, acting like they're thriving, hanging with people who don't even know the full story. They'll make it look like their world is better without you, but don't get fooled. That's not healing. That's theater. That's not confidence. That's performance. See, people don't always regret losing you right away. Sometimes regret is slow, like a storm building on a quiet night. You don't hear it at first, but when it hits hard. When you were always available, always replying, always reaching out, they didn't feel your value. You were like background music, always there, always playing, until you turned it off. And that silence, now they can't stop noticing it, because the human brain is wired to crave what it can't have. We only start valuing something deeply when it's no longer within reach. Your silence becomes scarcity, and scarcity creates value. Most people don't get this. They go quiet just to look strong. But underneath, they're still hoping for a text, still checking their phone, still posting things to get a reaction. That's not strength, that's still chasing, just in a quieter costume. Real power comes from real detachment. You don't go silent to be noticed. You go silent because you've shifted your focus away from them and back onto you. Because you finally understand your worth doesn't need to be proven, it needs to be protected. You stop texting, not out of bitterness, but because you're building, you're focused, you've got goals, peace, and a future that doesn't revolve around someone who couldn't appreciate your presence. And when that shift happens, when you stop watching their stories, stop wondering about their life, stop hoping they'll come back, something incredible begins to unfold. You heal. You stop waiting. You stop needing closure. You stop caring about what they think. You stop being a story they walk away from and start becoming a story they can't forget. At first, they won't believe the silence. They'll convince themselves it's temporary, that you're just taking space, that eventually you'll come back just like every other person did. But when the days turn into weeks and still nothing, that's when the cracks start forming. That's when they start wondering, why haven't they reached out? Did I misjudge their feelings? Did I lose something I'll never find again? And here's the truth bomb. Regret is never loud. It doesn't arrive in grand gestures or emotional breakdowns. No, regret is quiet. It creeps in during the still moments. It shows up late at night when they scroll through your profile and see nothing new, like you've vanished. It's the sting when your name comes up in a random conversation and they realize they're no longer part of your world. It's the ache in their chest when they see you doing just fine. Not pretending, not posting for attention, just genuinely moving forward. That silence where your presence used to be starts to haunt them because they were so sure you'd always be there. They thought you'd always reach out. They believed they could leave, and you'd wait. But this time, you didn't. You walked away, no storm, no show, just quiet power. And that's the kind of goodbye that people never forget. You didn't slam the door, you didn't beg for closure, you just became unavailable. Now they're stuck wondering what went wrong. They're replaying your last words, scrolling, lurking, overthinking, because they didn't expect you to grow in your silence. They didn't expect you to rise from it. And the longer you remain quiet, the louder their regret becomes. You're no longer background noise in their life. You've become the silence they can't ignore. Because while they were trying to be seen, you became unforgettable. While they were trying to win the crowd, you mastered your peace. While they were looking outward, you were building inward. Let them feel it. Let the silence work, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to heal, to reset, to rise. Now say this with me in the comments. My silence is my power. Let it be your truth. Show it to them. Show it to yourself. Show it to the world that your voice doesn't need to scream. Your absence says enough. Indifference is power. The moment you stop giving them your energy is the moment they start chasing your silence. Let that one echo for a second, because this right here is the turning point. Not when you pretend to let go, not when you act cool while secretly checking their updates. No, the real shift happens when you genuinely stop caring, not bitter, not angry, just done. That's the moment everything changes, not just in how they see you, but in how you see yourself. Because as long as they know they can still get a reaction out of you, they still have power. If they can trigger you with a post, a story, a picture with someone else, if you're still watching their every move, if you're still secretly hoping they'll notice your silence, then guess what? You're not silent, You're just screaming without sound. They still believe they own a piece of your mind. And because of that, they don't have to miss you. They don't have to feel the loss. They don't have to ask themselves, did I mess up? Because in their mind, you're still around, still emotionally available, still an option they can revisit when they're bored or lonely. But when your indifference becomes real, not an act, suddenly they're checking, why haven't they liked my post? Why don't they watch my stories anymore? Why do they seem unbothered? That confusion, my friends, that's the seed of doubt. And doubt grows fast when silence is involved. See, people aren't scared of being ignored. They're scared of being forgotten. And when they realize you've stopped checking for them, stopped reacting, stopped waiting, stopped caring, that's when the regret creeps in. Not all at once, no dramatic movie scene. Just a slow, creeping realization that they're not in your world anymore, that their access has expired, that their name doesn't echo in your thoughts. But here's where most people mess up. They try to fake indifference. They post mysterious quotes. They stay offline for a day, hoping it makes them look cool. They force smiles and flashy updates, trying to play it off like they've moved on. But the truth? People can smell fake energy like smoke in a room. And when your silence is just a strategy, it shows, and it collapses. Because true indifference is not something you perform, it's something you become. It's not when you stop caring what they think, it's when you stop thinking about them altogether. It's when your focus is no longer on whether they notice you, because your focus is now on your own path, your health, your dreams, your peace, your self-respect. You no longer wonder if they'll come back because you've already left emotionally. And in that place of real, authentic detachment, you become powerful, not just powerful in their eyes, but powerful in your own. Because now you're not reacting, you're building, you're not waiting, you're rising, you're not hoping, you're living. And when they start to sense that, when they realize you're no longer a backup plan, no longer emotionally available, no longer spinning in their orbit, that's when the questions hit. Did I misjudge them? Did I lose someone I'll never find again? Did I let go of someone who was actually rare? And the haunting part? They won't get the answers because you're no longer giving them the space to ask. That's the beauty of indifference. It's not revenge. It's not a tactic. It's evolution. And by the time regret arrives in their chest, like a weight they can't shake, you'll be too far ahead to even look back. Because you won't want to go back. Not because you're angry, but because you're free. You're no longer trying to be seen. You've become unforgettable. You're no longer looking to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. And that's when you become the one thing they never expected, the one they can't figure out, the one they can't control, the one they can't replace. You want power? Stop reacting. Let your silence speak louder than their drama. Let your indifference be the closure they'll never get. Because when you truly stop caring, not out of hate, but out of healing, you become the rarest thing in the world, unreachable. Now write this in the comments. I am no longer an option. Say it loud, say it proud. Show it to them, show it to the world, show it to yourself. They will test you. They don't test you to reconnect. They test you to control. Let's not sugarcoat this, my friends. You're going to be tested. That's just the truth. But the test won't look like a final exam. It won't come with fireworks, apologies, or deep soul-searching confessions. It won't show up wrapped in clarity. No, it'll come quietly, casually, subtly, a random message at midnight that says, "Hey, hope you're doing well." A like on a photo you posted 6 months ago, the one they never acknowledged when you were still together. Maybe even an accidental "oops, wrong person" text that feels way too convenient to actually be a mistake. And if you're not grounded, if you haven't really healed, you'll take the bait. You'll start to think, maybe they're realizing what they lost. Maybe this means they're finally seeing my value. Maybe this is my chance to fix what broke. But let's be real, it's not a sign, it's not fate, it's a test. They're checking, probing, wanting to know, are you still there? Are you still orbiting them emotionally? Are you still hoping they'll come back? Because if you do respond, if you take the bait, even just a little, you've given them exactly what they wanted. Proof. Proof that you haven't let go. Proof that you're still emotionally available. Proof that they still have a grip on your mind. And now they're in control again. Not because they want to build with you, but because they know they could if they felt like it. That's the game, and most people don't even know they're playing it. Listen, it's not always intentional. It's not like they're sitting in a dark room twirling their fingers like a movie villain saying, "Let's mess with them today." It's deeper than that. It's instinct. It's the subconscious reaching for validation. It's ego asking a question it's too afraid to say out loud. Do I still matter to them? And that's where most folks break. They think this is the moment it all turns around. They text back. They get caught in the old rhythm. They start overthinking every word, every emoji, every pause in the conversation. They try to play it cool, but their heart's back in the palm of someone who already let them go once. That's not strength, that's surrender dressed in a fake smile. But the one who's truly done, they don't flinch. They don't reply to breadcrumbs. They don't like a post just because someone liked theirs. They don't fall for the accidental messages, not out of spite, not out of ego, but because they've outgrown the game. They're not looking backward anymore. They've turned their energy inward, focused on growth, on purpose, on real healing. Because when you finally level up, the old bait doesn't work anymore. You start to see through the patterns. You realize that real connection doesn't need tests. It speaks with clarity, not confusion, with actions, not mixed signals. And when they see that their old tricks don't move you, that their random messages don't shake your peace, that their attempts to stir you up fall flat, that's when they start to panic. They start asking themselves, why didn't they respond? Have they really moved on? Did I lose something I'll never get back? And that fear, that uncertainty, it eats at them. Because here's the real kicker. People don't regret losing the one who begged for them. They regret losing the one who walked away and never looked back. So yes, they will test you. But that test isn't about them. It's about you. It's a mirror. Every time you ignore their breadcrumbs, you reinforce your strength. Every time you resist that knee-jerk reply, you affirm your growth. Every time you choose silence over weakness, you reclaim your power. You don't need to respond to prove your worth. You don't need to react to show them you've changed. You don't need to answer just because they finally decided to speak. Because silence is louder than any wrong person text could ever be. Real power isn't about proving you've moved on. It's about moving on so completely that their tests become irrelevant. It's when you stop wondering what it meant and start realizing it doesn't matter. And when they realize they can't get to you anymore, that your energy is no longer available for their emotional experiments, that's when the regret really begins. Because now you're not a person they left. You're a person they can't reach. Now say this out loud and drop it in the comments. I don't take the bait. Let it be your affirmation, your reminder, your truth. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you're not the same person you were when they walked away. You don't become powerful by hiding your emotions. You become powerful by not handing them over to people who don't deserve them. Let's break something open right now. They expect you to break. They really do. They expect you to sit alone at night, scrolling through old conversations like sacred scripture. They expect you to overthink every detail, every word, every silence. They expect you to fall apart quietly, hoping, praying, waiting for some divine twist of fate that brings them back into your life. They expect you to be trapped in the loop. What if I had said this? What if I didn't mess up? What if they come back tomorrow? That's what they expect. But that version of you, the one who used to chase, who used to crumble, who used to build their day around someone else's approval. That version is gone. From this moment forward, you're different. You're not just healing, you're rising. You're not just silent, you're solid. You're not just unavailable, you're unreachable. See, here's the truth no one wants to admit. The more you make them your purpose, the more power you give them. And when someone feels your world revolves around them, they stop seeing your worth because you stopped seeing your own. So how do you become emotionally unavailable? You shift the spotlight. Stop giving your energy to someone who already left. Stop making them the center of your thoughts. Stop waiting for a message that may never come and start becoming the person you were always meant to be. You don't get stronger by staring at closed doors. You get stronger by walking toward your future with your head up, your heart intact, and your focus locked in. They used to be your purpose. Replace that. Replace it with your goals. Replace it with your discipline. Replace it with your peace. Replace it with the mission that fuels you, not drains you. Wake up with a reason that has nothing to do with them. Wake up ready to outgrow your past instead of trying to resurrect it. Because the truth is, when you really detach, not just pretend, but fully let go, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to attract anyone, but because nothing is more powerful than someone who is full, whole, and moving forward. That's the twist. You don't become emotionally unavailable by acting cold. You become emotionally unavailable by becoming complete. You're no longer looking to be filled. You are the fire. Let them feel your absence. Let them notice your silence. Let them scroll through your profile and realize there's nothing there for them anymore. Because you're not sitting around waiting for their return. You're building something bigger. And yeah, one day they might wonder, did I misjudge them? Did I lose something real? Were they actually the one who had it all along? But by the time they start asking those questions, you'll be too far ahead to hear them. You'll be knee-deep in purpose. You'll be surrounded by growth. You'll be thriving, not to prove a point, but because you refuse to let someone else's absence become your weakness. And when they test you, and they will, when they throw out those soft little "hope you're doing well" messages, when they like that photo from 3 months ago, when they linger in your orbit hoping you'll break silence first, you won't even flinch. Not because you're trying to be heartless, but because your heart's no longer for sale. You've leveled up, you've shifted, you've risen, and now you walk differently. Now you speak differently. Now your energy doesn't chase, it chooses. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about becoming so whole that even their best bait can't shake your peace. Let them play the old game. You're not playing anymore. You've got new goals now, new standards, new focus. You're not ignoring them to hurt them. You're just done handing over your time, attention, and energy like it's cheap. Because you're expensive now. You cost peace, you cost respect, you cost effort. And if someone can't afford that, they don't get access. This is your evolution. This is what emotional strength looks like. It's not bitterness, it's not manipulation, it's calm, it's clarity. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer need anyone to remind you of it. Now say this with me and drop it in the comments. I choose peace over approval. Say it, mean it, live it. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that you're not broken, you're building. The shift is here. Now they chase you. The strongest move you'll ever make is walking away like you never needed to stay. Let's break the illusion because they didn't think you'd make it this far. They didn't think you had it in you, the discipline, the silence, the power to not look back. They thought you'd break. They thought you'd cave. They thought you'd be the one still texting at midnight, checking their status, holding on to hope like it was a lifeline. But now they're the ones wondering. Because here's the truth. Most people miss the moment you stop chasing. The shift begins. At first, they won't show it. They'll put on the performance. They'll post pictures with friends, laughing louder than usual. They'll upload selfies with half-baked captions like just vibing or peace and blessings. They'll look like they're living their best life, like they've moved on without a single scar. But don't let that highlight reel fool you, because while they're out there trying to convince the world they're unfazed, inside, something's shifting. They expected you to show up in the usual ways. They expected the double tap on their new post. They expected that late night, "hope you're doing okay" message. They expected a sign that you still cared. But this time, nothing. No messages, no emojis, no story views, just silence. And that silence, it speaks louder than any words ever could. That's when the questions creep in. They ask your mutual friends, "Hey, have you heard from them lately?" They scroll your page looking for clues, some sign you're still orbiting their world. They check to see if you're watching their stories, but your name's not there. And suddenly that fake smile they wore so easily starts to fade, because silence isn't just quiet, it's unsettling. Your absence becomes the loudest thing in the room. And that's when it hits them. You're not waiting, you're not hurting, you're not clinging. You've moved on. They feel it and it rattles them, because in their mind, you were supposed to fall apart without them. You were supposed to need closure. You were supposed to stay stuck while they moved forward. But now, you're thriving quietly, calmly, without needing to announce it. And let me tell you, nothing haunts someone more than seeing the person they left doing better without them. That's the shift. That's when regret starts. But regret isn't dramatic. It's not a text that says, "I miss you." It's not a sudden confession of love. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's that knot in their stomach they can't explain. That little voice whispering, "Did I lose someone real?" And while that voice grows louder in their head, your focus is somewhere else entirely. You're not checking for them anymore. You're checking goals off your list. You're checking in with yourself. You're showing up for your dreams. Because this isn't about proving anything to them. This is about becoming unshakable, emotionally grounded, mentally focused, spiritually clear. The kind of person who doesn't chase but attracts not by force but by flow. Not through neediness but through presence. And here's the twist. By the time they realize what they lost, by the time they're watching you from a distance hoping for a second chance, you'll already be gone. Not physically, but emotionally. You'll have outgrown the old story. You'll be too busy building something real, something they were never willing to build with you. That's the power of the shift. It's not revenge. It's not a game. It's evolution. You've taken back your power, and in doing so, you've taken back your peace. And now they're the ones chasing. They're the ones second-guessing. They're the ones replaying the past. They're the ones wondering if they'll ever matter to you again. But you've risen too far to look back, because this journey isn't about getting anyone back. It's about getting you back. It's about mastering your emotions, building your life, becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs validation because they've already found purpose. You win not by playing mind games, but by walking away like your soul's no longer for sale. And here's the ultimate truth. You were the prize all along. They just didn't see it until you stopped trying to show them. Now say it with me, and write it in the comments. I am the prize. Let that be your reminder, your battle cry, your new identity. No more chasing, no more explaining, no more shrinking just to be seen. And here's the bottom line. When you stop chasing, stop reacting, and start building, everything changes. The silence, the detachment, the calm, that's your power. Now, you don't win by proving anything to them. You win by proving everything to yourself. So if this message hit home, do me a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this truth, and subscribe for more powerful reminders of who you really are. Stay focused, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.